Okay, that clap was for the mic. It's not super discreet, but I think the audio will sound much better. So if you guys have any other suggestions, let me know, but here we are. Hey friends, what's up? It's Abby, and today I'm going to be talking about 20 things I want to work on in my 20s. And for context, I am currently 23 and a half-ish. My birthday is in May, so I'll be 24 in May. So I'm still in my, I guess, younger 20s. Last year, instead of New Year's resolutions, I kind of made different goals for different ages. So 5, 10, and 15-year plan. The 5-year was actually by 25, so not 5 years from that time. And then the 10-year was 30, and then the 15 was 35. While a lot can happen in a year, and I don't want to discredit all that you can do in a year, I think there are a lot of goals, especially New Year's resolutions, that we tend to set that aren't necessarily attainable in a year, or maybe there's something that we want to keep for the long run. And I've recognized just in my life a lot of the things that I want to achieve or just goals that I have in my life are kind of long-standing. If I don't hit the reached number by the very end of the year, I don't want to feel too discouraged, but I want to just keep going and reevaluate that goal, if that makes sense. If there's anything that I've learned over this past year or two, especially with just spending a lot more time by myself, it's really that each person really does have a different set of needs. In the past, I've always compared myself kind of to historically what people have done, oh, people back in those days didn't do that, therefore I don't need to do this. Or even in the present, this friend is doing that, this friend is doing this thing, so that means that I should be doing it too, maybe it's healthy. And some of those things you just have to kind of do for yourself, but not feel too discouraged if it doesn't work for you, and try something new and keep going and don't give up. We're gonna start with the simple things. Maybe these aren't simple, clearly, because I put this on here, so I need to work on them. But the first one is to wear sunscreen. Guys, I have never done this, to be honest. I feel like I don't really burn. I've burnt twice in my life on my nose or from windburn, so I just don't put on sunscreen. But shout out to my coworkers and some of my friends who have really just been on me about getting a sunscreen routine, incorporating that in. And then I listened to the 73 questions with Zendaya the other day, and she was like, my favorite beauty product is sunscreen. And I was like, okay, I should probably keep going with that. So it's a very simple thing. Just when I wake up in the morning and I'm doing my regular wash my face and stuff, I put the sunscreen right next to all those things, so I'll put them on first. And I've been watching this masterclass with Bobbi Brown, and she said to put your sunscreen on as the very first thing, even before your moisturizer, unless your moisturizer has the sunscreen in it, because that will be the first layer on your skin. Moving along with skincare, just to have a skincare routine in the first place. Again, that's just never really been something I've incorporated. If I get samples from Sephora or random gifts from friends, I will try them on my face and try that out. But I really don't have a super put together skincare routine, and I don't think it has to be very complex. The goal will be for it not to be super complex. I've tried out some of the Paula's Choice different products, and I like those because they're partnered with TerraCycle, so I can just send those containers back to them, which is really nifty. So I might keep trying to incorporate that, but that's something I really want to maintain, because as long as you keep your skin in good condition, then you don't even have to wear foundation or anything, really. Vitamins and water. I'm reusing a honey jar here. I have to take vitamin D because my doctor recommended that, and especially for people in Michigan, she said most everyone in Michigan should be taking vitamin D, just because in the winter it is very cloudy all the time. I tried to say very and really at the same time, and it didn't work. Also with that, I should throw in this health thing, which isn't technically on the list, but I've been cooking a lot of meals at home and been meal prepping, and finally getting into a good Sunday routine of meal prepping a couple of meals for the week, which has been very, very nice, and just reducing my waste and learning different tricks and ways to continue to use my leftovers and reduce waste has also been something that I want to keep on doing in my 20s and 30s and 40s and, till forever. I should really put down this more and pick up a book more in my 20s, because I haven't been the best at that in my younger 20s, so I'm hoping the upper 20s will incorporate more of that. I do utilize Goodreads, and my goal is to do one book every 2 weeks, which I definitely did not hit this year, but want to next year. Reading just really inspires me. I used to love reading fiction, but I've really just grown to like nonfiction, self-help, and faith books, like religious books. What else? Business books. There's a ton. My brain isn't processing right now, but I would also like to start incorporating back some fiction into that, because fiction is also really good for your brain, and I would like to just start carrying a book with me more, so when I have 5 minutes here and there, I can pick that up instead of my phone. A better bedtime. I wonder what that looks like for people. If you have that figured out, let me know. I know that I have some friends that do, so I just need to hang out with them more. I just always get inspired at night and then end up staying up really late. So I either need a better bedtime or getting up earlier, but I've kind of just come to the conclusion that I'm not great at getting up earlier, so maybe if I just go to sleep earlier, that would be better for myself. One other thing I've kind of observed is, I don't know how some of my friends go on very minimal sleep, but that is just not for me right now. I've just been taking a lot more naps and just trying to embrace when my body's been tired, because the past few years my body has been super tired quite often, and I don't know if it's an imbalance in something or something I'm eating, but I would like to get that figured out. So that's something I would like to work on in my 20s, and part of that might just be sleeping more, unfortunately, but I know sleep is good for you, and that's it. Solitude versus loneliness, solitude versus too much solitude, too little solitude. I listened to a podcast, it's like 10 minutes, 12 minutes from Life Kit. Highly recommend it. I'll put it down below. And it just was talking about how we can crave solitude like we crave being with people, which was interesting to me because I grew up with 2 older siblings, but they were both out of the house by the time I was in middle to high school. So I do feel like a lot of my growing up was kind of just me and my parents. So I was always finding things that I had to do by myself and finding out ways to fill my time. Maybe it changes with seasons, it definitely does, but figuring out what is best for me right now, which may be ever changing in my 20s, but I think at least for some consistency and routine and knowing, oh, I should really schedule a hangout with a friend or do something because it will help encourage me for this week, versus, oh, I really need some time alone tonight, and being able to say no, which leads to the next item on the list, which is saying no. For me right now, it's the sporadic things that just come up that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm free next week. But making a schedule where I put in time, this might say something about my personality, but in my Google Calendar, I've started to put in time that says alone time, like Abby time, creative time, reading time, piano time, things like that, that I say no to other things because I'm going to spend time doing those things. Even if it's just for me, technically, I'm still busy, and making time for that can be difficult, and it just means saying no a lot. So you can say yes to the things that are more important, or things that are actually helping you get to where you want to go. The next thing is just doing more of what I love, whether that's music or creating things like making videos or just hanging out with my friends and drawing or whatnot. Maintaining those things that may seem minute, or maybe I'll be like, oh, I don't have time for that, but just making time to do those things. This came up this morning when I was reading. I always try to get into a good Sabbath habit, but then just don't, and that's pretty much just where, you know, you're working for 6 days and then you take a day of rest. Also having the discipline to work hard those 6 days so that resting can be quite rewarding on Sundays or whatever days you choose to rest. This year, I would like to incorporate more of Instagram. That's probably way different than a lot of humans want to do. It can be good and really cool to see other people that are doing work around the world and sharing common interests with people that you might not have with people that are just around you where you're living. So I would like to post more this year. I think I was getting to a point where I was really comparing myself, and that wasn't great, and lots of other things, but this year I feel like I can go into it slightly healthier. To not look at work like we tend to as just a burden. Really, if you're just going to your 9 to 5 or your job or school, whatnot, to get that done and then to live your life, like that's a lot of your life that is just like hours that you're discounting. So for me, it's to really embrace all of those things and to look at work in a more positive way than it can sometimes be put in. In which it can be put, yes. The stories that we tell ourselves are so important and can really affect how we treat others and how well we're able to love others. So I just want to continue to work on being graceful, giving grace to myself and taking care of myself, even with my thoughts, because those are things that no one else knows because I don't have to tell my thoughts. But they're things that I think about, and to just be able to look at things with a positive view, or to know when something in my brain isn't something I should be thinking or letting my brain sit on, is something that I'm definitely learning. And how did I not put this on the list? My emotions, that is majorly something that I want to continue working on, is just dealing with my emotions. I think in your 20s and your teens, whatever, your whole life, but right now I've really been feeling it the past few years. Just feeling different emotions and things that I haven't known how to deal with, or getting upset with myself for feeling certain ways. But just learning when is appropriate to feel the emotion, accept the emotion, and when is appropriate to feel the emotion and kind of be like, I need to do something about this, because like, what can I do to help myself feel better with the way I'm feeling? These things all have to do kind of with other people, so sending snail mail and really just making time to appreciate the people that have been in my life and have helped me to just be the person I am and get me to where I am, and will continue to help me. But just be grateful for them and write that in a note and send it to them. Serving others, I think this past year I've done a better job at just figuring out how I want to serve and actually putting that into action, versus previous years where I've been like, I really want to serve, but not really doing anything about it. So actually putting that into action. Sticking with my homies, that is something that, you know, your homies are going to change, and that's something I've seen happen in my life in the past few years, especially in your 20s, because your friends move, they get married, life seasons change. Just really at least having a couple people that know me and know what's happening in my life in the moment, that I can go to in times of need, in times of joy, all those things. But just making sure to have those friends and to be intentional with those friendships. Getting better at communicating, even if it's work-based or personal-based. I think that's always something that I would like to improve on, being a better listener and really knowing how to be there for my friends and random strangers. Just getting better at talking with people and communicating how I'm really feeling and not being afraid of that. I can be pretty minimalistic and will sometimes really just not want to spend money on certain things, that I should really just buy the thing because I would like and need to have it and it would be beneficial to my life. Just knowing when to spend money and knowing when to save money, and having a good balance of the spending and saving. And lastly is family time. Just continuing to make sure that I make time for family and spending time with them, because life is just so short and you just never know what's going to happen, and people are going to grow up and grow old and it will happen like that. So that's something else that I would like to continue to work on. All right, I hope you guys have a wonderful new year. This probably won't be posted till the new year, so I hope it's going swell, and have a great day. I will see you in my next video.